Hi QA folks, the topic for today's video is what is the concept of the testing pyramid. So basically it's an approach to structure your test suite. It defines the relative amount of auto tests you should have on each level of testing. Basically it says to have less UI tests and more unit tests. Let's see at this diagram, at this picture. Basically, this is the foundation of the pyramid. Here you have unit tests, and you see the foundation means that you have the most amount of tests here and the least amount of tests on the top type of tests. So on the bottom, you're supposed to have, basically in your project, you're supposed to have almost everything covered by unit tests. In the middle, the medium amount of tests should go to API tests, integration tests. And on the top, you have UI tests and end-to-end, along with the exploratory testing. So basically, the idea is to have less of those because they are slow and requires the most amount of time to maintain. Unit tests are fast and giving you fast to write and giving you feedback really fast. So this is as well from the foundation to top of the pyramid. You have creation and maintenance cost, and here's the speed. So unit tests, why unit tests are fast and why you should have the most amount of them, because they are fast to run and do not require UI, usually written and run by developers themselves. And in the middle, about API tests, so integration. So basically integration tests, it's not only API tests, it can also include database testing, some third-party tools and services, some checks on file system and so on. Something that not related to UI directly. These tests as well run much faster than UI tests, and they still run underneath the hood of the application, but may consume a little more time than unit tests, integration ones. They have to check some communication between a few components of the system. So again, this is the idea, great idea, but in reality, on all of the projects that I worked on during my 15 years of career in QA, manual test automation, it was almost never followed. So regardless that you're supposed to have large amount of unit tests, developers either do not write them or they are mocking them somehow. We almost never had any kind of API tests or integration tests. And again, there were some specific reasons behind it. Sometimes developers don't provide you enough information for API tests, like for example, examples of payload for requests and responses. Without them, you cannot really automate those. And it's not always possible to figure out them by yourself and take them from the browser. You need to know the logic behind it. So in most cases and most scenarios, it's like reversed testing pyramid when you have the most amount of UI tests and end-to-end tests, and maybe if you got lucky, some amount of unit tests. But again, the quality of those unit tests that are written by developers might be questionable. One more thing to mention that I honestly, based on my experience and all years of work, I don't mind having a lot of UI tests. Why? Because in most cases, even if you take two components of the system and test something on the API level, some communication between them on the API level, it doesn't guarantee that when you combine those components on UI, it doesn't guarantee that it will work, because one component can pass something in JSON to UI, you do some actions on the UI, and then you're passing another JSON with already modified data to the second component. And in this case, regardless that they work together fine on the API level testing, when UI comes in play, there might be some underlying issues that comes from UI layer. So basically, I prefer to test most of system interaction on UI level during end-to-end tests. Only this way can guarantee you that the system as a whole will function, all components will function all together. Basically, that's it for this video. See you in the next one.